We're
So
live.
basically, like,
We're live now, yeah.
yeah, any video clip that has no audio, then the speakers can still talk over it.
Oh.
So
Do we load this speaker for the entire? Like, I see a little progress bar at the bottom.
no, that's the video. They don't see that.
Oh.
Yeah.
We only see it.
You ready?
Yep.
Oh shit! I pressed the wrong button. All right, we're live.
Are we? Awesome.
Welcome everybody
Hello,
to the release party, Home Assistant 2022.8. It's August. It's the first Wednesday. We made it.
We made it. Paulus actually made it. Is the craziest.
Right. Yeah, I didn't think I would make it. And for the people that pay attention, like, I'm in a blank void, which is where I live now. I just
He just lives in a blank void now.
Wow.
I wanted to say wrap up my move, but I just moved, but it's not wrapped up. But we're in the process of moving. So, like, this is my speaker, my microphone, my Blue Yeti. It's I basically connect the internet and put on my laptop so I can be here, which is great because it also means that, like, I have no idea what made it into the release, so that's good. So welcome everybody.
You'll be learning along with everyone else.
Yeah. Let's do a quick intro round for just the people that are tuning in for the first time. My name is Paulus Schoutse. I'm the founder of Home Assistant, coming live to you from New York. And yeah, I work on whatever basically comes up.
Frank?
Oh, I'm up. Okay, hi, I'm Frank. Yeah, I run around the Home Assistant project, do the release and release notes stuff, and well, you can find me basically anywhere around the project. So
That's true.
hi.
I'm Zach. I work around the front ends sometimes. Most of the time, I'm working on partnerships and newsletters and stuff like that. But every once in a while, I'll get in and build a repair dashboard or two in the front end.
Hey, I'm Nick. I'm a core developer in my spare time. And as you guys probably already know, I care a lot about performance. So, I'm really excited about this release because we've managed to get all my Bluetooth locks to show up. And I think we'll have a little bit of a demo on that later.
Yeah.
That's really neat what came about and how it came about.
Starting
with the toothbrush.
Yeah.
All I remember.
I don't think we support. Do we support the toothbrush?
We don't support the toothbrush yet.
It started with the toothbrush, didn't end with the toothbruch.
No, there's not much value in the toothbrush. It's just really cool. So
yeah. No, yeah, I just, Bluetooth is being added to Home Assistant, and what's really cool there is that it is like a base layer of, like, it's a base radio, right? There's a lot of devices that use Bluetooth. Even, there's a lot of different protocols or, like, technologies to get data from A to B out there, but Bluetooth is very widespread because it's in your phone, and so it means that your phone. Oh, bye, Frank.
He said he had audio issues.
But the thing with Bluetooth, it's in your phone, and so a lot of vendors will use Bluetooth because then the app works without a hub, right? It's very cheap to get, like, something published that works with Bluetooth. Battery life is really good with Bluetooth. It uses a lot of, very little energy. So yeah, it's great. And now with being in Home Assistant as a native first party, like, foundational layer, which, Nick built, and, like, was based on the work by Ernst on the BLE monitor that you might have known, the custom component. It will open up so many doors because it used to be that, like, we have all these integrations and they were all doing different things with Bluetooth and they were all interfering. And it would, like, you had one integration set up with Bluetooth, the other one wouldn't work, etc. And so potentially everything will work now. Well, this is the first release. We actually, like, it will probably take some time. And I think, over time, we'll get even more cooler features. We have actually some cool stuff on the roadmap for Bluetooth that we did not get to today, and I think that we might get to it in the next few releases.
Well, the one thing that Frank mentioned, which which I thought was the coolest part about the whole integration, is how easy it is for other Bluetooth devices and integrations to get started, right? It's like minimal lines of code in order to have these new integrations get there, which is pretty nice.
And actually, this a lot of this Bluetooth work, like I said, was part of it made available or possible by Ernst, who made the custom component. But we also actually got to work with Bleak. Bleak is a Python package for Bluetooth, and we actually, hired them to work for it on a week on further improving it to add some features to that we needed for Home Assistant. And actually, over like the course of the last month, I would almost say, like, we've been going back and forth, getting some feedback, all that stuff, and like they've been really helpful in making sure that like we were able to ship today. All right, Frank, we can't hear you. Uh-oh. No.
We tested this beforehand, we promise. I think when we started, Nick had a different camera, a different setup. I think he has duct tape on the back of his monitor at this point to get the camera in this position. There's a lot of setup here. But cool. Do we want to jump into the release notes?
Yeah, let's do it. Sorry, I was getting some text from the person that is at the grocery store getting my groceries, and it's like eggs are not there. So like,
eggs are not there. Is that what you just said?
Yeah, the eggs. I wanted certain organic eggs.
Okay.
No, yeah. Okay, let's go over the release notes. Shai, do you want to share the screen of the release notes?
Yep, I'm sharing now. If you want to give me that access.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah. Oh.
Is this okay? I'm not sure how the volume is.
Yeah. Look, sounds good to me.
Okay.
You want to take the screen share, Frank?
Fine by me. You have it open. Works for me.
Sounds good. Is this? Can everyone see this? Is this?
Now make the screen a bit less wide.
Zoom in a bit.
Just zoom in a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't want to see the sidebar.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
This is too big. I don't know if this is good. Let me go to like here, and then yeah, I'll just make my screen smaller. All right. Okay, it just doesn't work. So the first one, I think, yeah.
Should we talk about this?
I think we should, yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, the truth is, we've been talking about this for like year and a half.
A very long time, yeah. I mentioned that in the newsletter. I was like, I think this has been one of the longest conversations of like a feature set that we have talked about within like Navicasa, with the Home Assistant members, like everyone getting input.
Yeah, for anybody who ever heard the word resolution or resolution center, that's what we've been talking about for.
Yep. It's
now we cannot hear you, Paul, if you're muted.
It's been a long time coming. Every single time we'd be in a meeting, it would be, oh, that would be really good for the resolution center. Now repairs.
Yeah.
So
let's talk quickly about what it is. This release, we are introducing a new dashboard, which is called the repairs dashboard. And in the repairs, you can actually find issues that Home Assistant can raise for your system. So these can be anything, like, I don't know, there's something. Let's not, Siri. Let's not. So it can be anything, like we found something in your YAML configuration that's not supposed to be there or would not work anymore. Or something is going to be removed or incompatible in the future. Or think about something, but
yeah,
if
authentication, it went bad. You need to re-authenticate.
You need to do something.
Yeah.
So there's something wrong and you can fix it. So
that's
where
the best part, right?
Yeah.
The you can fix it part.
Right. I mean, that's actually the requirement, right? For a repair to be allowed to be created, it needs to be fixable by the user one way or the other, which either we can automatically offer a flow of fixing it. So we help you go through the steps, like re-authentication means, log in again. We'll tell you click here to log in and you're good. Sometimes, like with YAML, we can tell you where to remove it, but as you know, we don't edit your YAML. So then you have to like hit that edit button. And then after that, the repair will disappear.
Yeah, and I see people in the chat saying, well, I don't have any repairs. That's a good thing. That's good. That's good, right?
That's definitely a good thing. So for this release, there are about 25 different issues it can raise, which are mainly like things like that are deprecated, going to be removed in the future, or things it found in your YAML configuration that it doesn't do anything with. For example, in this screenshot right here, it raises a Spotify issue. Like if you still have Spotify configured in your YAML, that's cool, but it doesn't work. And while it's not a problem that it's there, it could be if you want to change it and then you change it and it doesn't work. That's odd because you think it works because it's in the configuration file, right? So for the Spotify issue, one is raised because, well, remove it. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't belong there. It should be removed. And as soon as you remove it, that issue will disappear from your repairs dashboard. So that's one of the examples that happens right now.
Yeah, one of the best thing about the repair center is anything that's ever being removed is going to be in here immediately. So instead of having to read the release notes and go to the breaking changes like no one does, but some people. But instead of having to read all that, it's actually going to be the repair center, right? And you'll have time. You'll have those releases in order to fix it, and instead of having to read and go and find what may be broken, we're going to tell you. We're going to notify you. It'll come up on your settings page. It'll have a little, like the updates does. The badge on your settings menu, it'll show up there. So you are notified of things going wrong or repairs that are being needed.
I actually have a couple of repairs open on my system. I cannot fix them because they're YAML issues, but I can maybe show them if that is.
Yeah, kind of show the dialogue and.
Yeah. So let me pick up my system here. Well, hello. Let me resize it a bit. So this is actually my home system, and there's like my settings thing here, like the little badge has 8 in them, which means like previously it would mean like I have 8 updates pending, but that's not entirely true now anymore because it can also be repairs. So if we go to the settings display, there are now 3 repairs open for me, which are, well, not entirely true. I actually broke my system for screenshots, but yeah, there is a YAML configuration here for Spotify, which it notifies me about. So if I click on this, it will provide me information about, right, the configuration has been removed in this release, but it's still there. And remove it from your configuration.yaml file and restart Home Assistant to fix the issue. So if I remove it for Spotify and restart, it will be like gone from my repairs dashboard. Additionally, there's an ignore button, which you can click and then it will hide it for, I believe, until the next release. Am I right, Zach?
Yep, the next major release. It should.
The next major release.
Yep.
So I can.
And then one of the, you saw in the screen that it mentions the Home Assistant version where it will break. And this is great because I don't think we've done it yet, but the idea is that once you start hitting the update button, we can tell you, well, listen, we know these few things are going to become problems that you can no longer repair because we know they're going to break. So that should be also helpful. And just, we really wanted to make it easy and more, give people more confidence when they hit that update button. We always get a lot of complaints. There's so many breaking changes. So hopefully with this kind of like pre-active like notification about it, guiding people through like, oh, this is going to be a problem, this is how you can fix it, it should all be
Well, a feature that I'm working on right now, which is currently in development, is that whenever you go to click update to the next Home Assistant release, let's say that you're trying to get to 22.10 at this point and you haven't fixed this integration, we're actually going to also show you the warning whenever you try and update. So instead of saying, "Oh, I updated and stuff stopped working," you're going to see what's going to stop working if you try and do this upgrade, right? So that there's no, "Oh, I didn't see it." There's no, anything like, "Oh, what's going to happen?" You know what's going to happen, right? As long as that integration has been set up to show the repair, which not everything has, right? There's still going to be some things that are going to be in the breaking changes that won't be in here, but everything's going that way, right? Any new deprecations going forward will show up in this dashboard and will also show you whenever you try and upgrade after next release. So a lot of good things with that, a lot of warnings, notifications telling you what's going to happen. Hopefully you see none of these, right? The goal is you see less and less and none. But this is always a place where you can go here. This is going to be the center of what my system health is. How can I fix things? Where do I go?
Yeah, exactly. So I saw a question pop up, which is kind of good, I guess. Nico is asking, can we show ignored repairs? And we actually can. So this is the settings screen, which shows the 2 updates and a couple of repairs, but there's more, right? And if I go to the actual dashboard of repairs right here under system, it will show them all. It doesn't matter how many I have, it will show them all. And there's also a way here to show the ignored repairs. So I ignored it, and it shows exactly in which version I ignored it. So it knows when to come back at you.
Mm-hmm.
And I can still resolve it from here as well. So yeah, so it's still viewable. Another feature that has been moved, by the way, because of this, I just noticed because I clicked on the menu item, is the system information and the integration startup time. Previously, this was the system health. Am I right? The system health menu,
Yep.
right? In the system screen, and under settings, which is now in here. So it's now a nice little pop-up dialog here, which contains the same information as before. But we're going to make repairs more of the center of having to provide you with issues and to provide resolutions for them and to get them fixed. And that would mean that system health should be obsolete over time. So
system health is really when you're reporting a bug.
Yeah.
That's when you see it. And we'll probably add I don't know if you already have, but a
We did.
link in our
Yep.
GitHub issue template, so that to help you to get to this information.
Yep.
Did we already talk about alerts?
No, we haven't.
So another cool feature about repairs is the integration with Home Assistant alerts. So Home Assistant alerts, or alerts.homeassistant.io, it's a website that we maintain. It contains alerts when integrations stop working, and all the repairs you previously saw, they are actually hard-coded in Home Assistant. So, Home Assistant will detect something is wrong and it will raise an issue. However, some things, like maybe there's a vulnerability, you need to update your firmware, and we really want to notify you about this right now because you're using this integration, well, then we would create a Home Assistant alert. So, for example, you see some examples here on the screen, like, well, for example, Aladdin Connect is gonna older integrations from Home Assistant, older version of Home Assistant might not work anymore in the future. Well, if you would have the repairs integration in your Home Assistant installation, and you would be on of course, this one maxes out on a version that does not have the repairs integration, but in the future, a new alert might be created for an integration that you use. And we don't actually send the integration that you use to Home Assistant. Instead, what we do is we download the index of all alerts that exist. And then locally, it's being mapped against your integration that you have loaded. So we can only show you the relevant information.
Yeah.
And there's no very specific. The only thing we know is like integration loaded and Home Assistant version matches. Otherwise, like we don't know of like, for example, you see an alert that a new Nito bot vacuums do not support. Well, we wouldn't know if you have those vacuums or not. So the alert will just be shown and then you can just ignore it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the best part of the repairs is that it's only what's in your system, right? You're only going to see repairs for your repairs, your integrations.
Yeah. only what applies to you, and that's kind of awesome, right? If you previously went to like the breaking change section, you have those lists with all those integrations, and like possibly you're not using like 80% of it.
Well,
And then
and
you're
sometimes possibly you are and you have no idea, right? Like sometimes it's like, oh, am I using that? Or I don't even remember. Now I have to go check, right? This is a great way to say like, oh, yeah, you are using this. Go fix it.
right. So I think this is for the future. This is kind of neat. There are also a lot of ideas to improve on this and to like put more stuff into here, which we were talking about, like all kind of wild ideas. Like I don't know, we cannot reach the internet. Maybe you're using you have an automation that constantly fails at 10 times already, or I don't know. These are all ideas. We're not sure where where it is going, but we have a lot of control here to help you with keeping your system healthy, and well, you can fix it.
Yeah, no, this will be great. And I think this release is still very limited. Like there's still a few times where you'll be like, oh, I see a log in my I see a warning in my logs. Shouldn't be a repair. Correct. We haven't updated every place yet, and I think also custom component authors have not yet. So give it some time. It will get better over time. But of course, the best thing would be for you to never see a repair.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's like ideally you never see them. You may see them, but the good thing is now you don't have to search, right? You don't have to worry about breaking changes for the most parts. And the goal is to break your system as least as amount as possible. It always has. Cool. So we want to move on to Bluetooth support.
Hell yeah.
Bluetooth. This is awesome. I got this running and I was like, wow.
I mean, I'm gonna hide your screen because like I think we're just gonna talk over.
Well, and I think Nick has a demo later, so I don't think the release
right.
notes.
Yeah, and I mean, but I first think we should just talk about Bluetooth. I guess we already did a little bit in the beginning, but yeah, Bluetooth, it's awesome. Where do we start, Nick?
Okay, let's start from the beginning. Like what sparked the Bluetooth? Because it was something that Paulus was talking about internally, and then he brought it up to, or actually, then Nick actually posted something in members, and then it was like, oh well, we're already doing the same things. Let's connect, right? And
so yeah, I wanted. I mean, the whole thing that's driving it is I wanted to get my locks that my Yale locks. The only thing I have in my Home Assistant instance that's not local control, that relies on the cloud, which drives me crazy. Like I want everything to be local. I want everything to be fast. So so that kind of got me into like, how can I get these things into Home Assistant? Because I don't want to have that one thing. It just driving me nuts. So and then there was just the whole conversation about temperature sensors, and yeah, it would be really nice to know if my fridge is going bad. I can shove a temperature sensor in there and just kind of get the Bluetooth readings off of it, which is super great because you don't want to come home to like a fridge full of dead stuff or rotting food because your fridge goes bad, which that's, I think everyone's had that happen to them at one point. So so we got to talking about, well, how can we kind of get first class support for Bluetooth and Home Assistant? And I mean, we already had Bleak, and so we ended up talking to the Bleak authors, and they were super helpful about improving things and getting kind of the underlying stacks just in a much better state. We actually, of course, it missed the release by about a couple hours, but there's a Bleak update coming in .1 that'll improve performance and reliability a little bit more, and we're going to continue to do that over the next couple releases. Anything that comes new is always doesn't always have the best performance out of the box, so it's something we'll continue to keep improving over time.
Yeah. No, and I think the way Bluetooth is set up, like if you were using Bluetooth before in Home Assistant, the most common approach was probably using the BLE Monitor custom integration, which as a single integration was integrating like 20 different brands or something. that we are doing a different approach. So in Home Assistant, we always work with we have an integration per brand. And so instead of having a single Bluetooth integration that knows about every Bluetooth device in the world, well, that would become a maintenance nightmare because every PR is going to touch the same file. So what's happening now is that in this release, there's only a few Bluetooth integrations, like sensors are supported, but they all have their own integrations and their own maintainers and authors. And so over time, we will get feature parity with BLE Monitor. We're actually, closely working with Ernst on that, the author of BLE Monitor. And so, yeah, you'll see in this release, SwitchBot, Xiaomi,
Govee. And what this means is instead of like the Bluetooth integration guessing about the data and the entities and the data coming back into Home Assistant and guessing on all of that, it's up to the integration to say, okay, here's the data, let's catch it, let's present it in the way that's good for the user, create entities that are good for the user, and they can even do primary configuration, diagnostics. They can set all this up that is, specific to this brand of device, this specific to how this device works, which is make sure that your devices from Bluetooth are working as great as they can be instead of just working, right? Oh yeah, they work. Yeah, I get data from it. No, it's working as you would think a device should show up.
Should we go to a demo, or there are some questions here that are kind of touching on roadmappy stuff? I don't know if you want to do those first, or
Let's just show what we have and then talk about what
Okay, yeah, so I think I can share the demo. Let's live demo, so let's see how well this works.
Yeah.
All right. All right, so hopefully you guys can see my screen now.
You want to zoom in?
Yep.
Is it visible? Okay, so I have just kind of a fresh install setup, and there's a Bluetooth adapter plugged into. It's a Home Assistant Blue. So I'm just going to hit configure, and do I want to set up Bluetooth? And yes. And now you can see pretty much every Bluetooth device in range is slowly kind of filtering in.
Not slowly. That's pretty quick.
Wow.
So yeah, as they're discovered and they make advertisements, they'll show up. So if I want to set up my SwitchBot contact sensor, I mean, it's pretty quick to set up. So or I've got a couple of these Govee temperature sensors.
One-click setup. That's great.
Yeah, very quick to set them up, and right away I can go in and I can see it's already reporting the humidity and temperature and battery.
And Nick, for these, are we like going and trying to grab the data from the Bluetooth sensor?
So a lot of these are just they make advertisements every couple seconds or once a minute. So it's just being fed in. We're just watching. So like this is the little tiny sensor push sensor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
which is completely different than the old integration,
so
right?
It's this guy right here, and it's just feeding. It's just making a broadcast every couple seconds, and you can see right away we're getting data from it. So.
Yeah.
So just, for the people that don't speak Bluetooth natively, advertisement or packets, it basically means that a Bluetooth device sends like a, hey, I'm here, like every 30 seconds or every minute, and other devices will pick that up, and then we'll see some information that's in that packet. Now, a lot of Bluetooth sensors will actually contain the sensor data in it as part of like some extra metadata that they attach to the packet. And so Home Assistant, all it does here is that we're listening to these packets. We're seeing, we're mapping the devices that every packet contains like a vendor ID and then some way to identify the model often. And so we're just routing it. So we see a SwitchBot packet come in. We route it to the SwitchBot integration. If it has been set up before, it will be fed into the current entity. If it has not been set up, we will ask you, hey, do you want to add this device? What it also means, because Bluetooth is so common, it might be that if you live in a close vicinity to other people, you might see their Bluetooth devices pop up. Because some of these things are not encrypted, right? So I think a lot of these switchbot things, they just work. There's no, they just send the data out because they are like, it's humidity and temperature. Who cares?
Yeah, when I first turned it on, it's found a couple of my neighbors' Govee Bluetooth sensors. So I was kind of surprised at the range. It was the same model I had bought for testing, and I was like, the battery's already almost dead on this thing. And no, it was actually like coming from my neighbor's house. So. So the SwitchBot integration's also been updated to be push. So everything's coming in through the advertisements now. So and the really cool thing is we have Bluetooth support in HomeKit controller. So I have this this Nanoleaf bulb here. I don't know if you guys can see that. So I can go to the Nanoleaf integration, and it's the HomeKit controller integration. It's discovered the Nanoleaf bulb. And if it's going to go start talking to the bulb, and it should ask me for a pairing code in about maybe 30 seconds. It'll take to negotiate a connection with it. Maybe. There we go. So, and let's see if I can remember the pairing code. All right. So right now it should be made a connection to the bulb, and it's downloading everything about it. And then it's going to hopefully just set up, and I can use my Nanoleaf Essentials bulb that's just over Bluetooth in Home Assistant.
And what is really cool here is that the HomeKit controller integration. So as you might know, HomeKit is a protocol originally developed by Apple. And in this case, what is happening here is that Nick's Home Assistant Blue is via the Bluetooth adapter that's plugged into it, talking directly to the light bulb directly. You don't need any Apple device, you don't need any iPhone or MacBook or whatever. It just talks the protocol, and this way, over Bluetooth, we can have a local connection with this light bulb.
It's not even.
And you see how fast it is there.
Yeah. So it's working quite well.
I think it turns on before you even touch the button. That's how immediate it is.
Yeah, once the pairing takes a little bit of time, but once it's set up, it works really fast. So, and if you've got like one of these twin ping temperature sensors, you can do pretty much the same thing. It's also got HomeKit support, so you've got the pairing code on the back of it, and you set it up in a similar way. So anything that talks HomeKit protocol, which HomeKit accessory protocol, should just magically show up once you turn on Bluetooth and put the pairing code in, and away you go.
Mm-hmm.
And so, seeing this whole demo, and you're like super excited to get started with Bluetooth, well, you're in luck. So it's super easy to get started with Bluetooth. If you, assuming you're using Home Assistant operating system, because with Home Assistant operating system, you have set it all up to be automatically done for you. So if you use a Raspberry Pi 3 or a Raspberry Pi 4, it's done. It will just be automatically set up. If you plug in a Bluetooth adapter, and there's a list of support adapters on the documentation, it will be automatically discovered, and it will set up Bluetooth for you, and you're done. Now, we had a Matter workshop 2 months ago, for which we told people, please buy this Bluetooth stick, and we will be able to talk Matter. We needed Bluetooth for Matter. That stick, we've seen Nick has seen some issues during his testing with that stick, which is like a lot of reconnects are happening. So it will work, but it's not recommended for a good Bluetooth experience.
Yeah, if you look on the Bluetooth documentation page, all the ones I tested, I put on there. Unfortunately, the TP-Link ones, I bought 6 of them now, and all of them just randomly disconnect, and just you end up in the middle losing updates, especially with the way the HomeKit updates work is it sends an advertisement saying, oh, there's an update, so you have to connect and grab the update whenever it happens. Since HomeKit's it's a secure protocol, so none of the updates are coming over clear text, so it's going to make an encrypted connection, grab the update, then disconnect pretty quickly. So one thing I want to show, and kind of the whole reason I kind of got involved in the Bluetooth stuff in the first place is I really wanted to integrate my Gale locks, and yeah, this is my kind of test lock here, and I can hold it without breaking it here. So this thing will speak Bluetooth, and it has its own August protocol. It also speaks HomeKit. So if you try to integrate it with HomeKit controller right now, it's going to ask for some additional authorization data, which is kind of like an extra key that it needs to work with HomeKit. It's actually the only device I've found that requires that. But the August protocol, someone's already kind of done a lot of work in figuring out how that works. I kind of built on that. So I built an integration which is not in this version yet, but hopefully next month, called the Yale Access integration. So it'll work with all the Yale and August locks. So I've got the August cloud set up here. So I'm going to reload it, and in theory, it should discover what I call my zombie door, because it's kind of off the door, and it should automatically feed the key from the August integration into the Yale Access integration. And if I hit configure, it should just magically have all the keys and everything it needs to talk to the lock and just be working right out of the box. So of course, I'm still developing this integration, so I'm sure this is going to go horribly wrong. But it would be great if it just kind of worked. So I'm demoing something we haven't even kind of shipped yet. So
don't you know live demos are the time it goes the worst?
Yeah, that's usually how it works. So
he had a good start, so he's just going.
So in theory, it's talking to this lock that I'm holding up right now. I don't know if it's actually going to work. So it actually did. Okay, so and now I have my zombie door here, and I have my door, and it's locked. And so in theory, I should be able to hit the unlock button, and this lock should just rotate and unlock. Maybe. There we go. So it actually works. So it actually downloaded the key from the cloud, installed it in the integration, set everything up for you. So one-touch setup, you don't have to think about anything. So hopefully that's coming next month. Also got the door sensor integrated, and if you actually operate this manually, you'll get push updates for it.
That's the best part. One of the things is like SwitchBot before, it was using the polling method, where every once in a while we would just poll the bot. Now it's using push, right? Meaning the bot pushes to Home Assistant. So whenever the state changes, we get it.
And this is an example. We added support for the SwitchBot plugs. So in theory, I can get up, and it's sitting over here plugged into this power strip. Just go to turn it off, and it just immediately is off.
You could hear it a little bit too. It's like chick, and then you saw it.
You can hear the relay, and I can just flip it back on. You can hear the relay, and maybe in the background turning back on. So
did this plug require authentication to connect to?
No, it's completely open. So it just discovered it, and I just set it up. So no authentication necessary.
If you have SwitchBot in your house, everybody has control. But yeah,
nothing we can do about it. That's on SwitchBot.
Yeah, so,
of course. But I think it's like
I know.
It is like if you connect it to something like your garage door or something, right? Then it's not ideal.
Somebody asked, does the Bluetooth list just find every single Bluetooth device that ever existed inside your house, or is it just integrated ones?
So these are only integrated ones that are actually supported. So like you'll see like everything here has an integration attached to it. So like this is another random Yale lock, which I don't have integrated with the cloud. So when you set it up, it'll ask you for the offline key and the key slot, which the one I just demoed, I have it. It's feeding it in from the cloud. It downloaded the key from the cloud, immediately changed the discovery. So it'll say, oh look, this I see that Bluetooth device on your local network, on your local area, and replaces the discovery one and feeds the key right into the discovery. So you get one-touch setup because you're already authenticated to the cloud. Whereas this one is not paired to the cloud, so it's asking for the key manually. So one other thing, if you've got multiple Bluetooth adapters, and I don't have it in this system, but there is an options flow for Bluetooth, and you can change which Bluetooth adapter. And if the integrations are feeding the data from the Bluetooth integration, they'll actually connect with the other adapter as well. So if you have some legacy integration that requires exclusive use of the Bluetooth adapter, you can add a second Bluetooth adapter, change it to HCI 1, and away you go. So you can have both the legacy Bluetooth and the new Bluetooth stuff all working in parallel. Of course, you want to probably have extension cables to keep the Bluetooth adapters away from each other to minimize the interference, but should all work pretty well.
Yeah, and that's only once connected to your network, or to your device, your Home Assistant instance, right?
Right. That actually brings us great to this message from Phil. Can I still use ESP Home as a Bluetooth gateway? Because his Home Assistant Blue is in the garage, far away from Bluetooth devices. I'm removing the question so we can see Nick again. So this is something that eventually we want to support natively. So basically any ESP Home device that is running on ESP32 will be able to forward discovery data, but we don't have, that's not part of this release. So this also requires an update on the ESP Home side, and we're still hacking on like Pico W support there and stuff. So maybe it will be there, in 2 weeks when the next ESP Home release comes, and then of course after that it can come to Home Assistant, right? It's always like both systems need to be updated, but I think that it's going to be 6 weeks from now that we will see support for that.
But the goal is yes, right?
But yeah, so basically it would mean that any ESP32 device that runs ESP Home in your house will be able to forward data.
So just to be clear on it, that would mean that I could pick up like anything that runs ESP Home in my home, and it will like act like an additional bridge to extend my range or something?
So only but only right now the idea would only be for discovery packets.
Right.
So sensory data. So if you have a Bluetooth sensor, very like in your car or something, right? Like then maybe your ESP Home doorbell might pick it up.
Cool.
Yeah,
nice.
So it's not active. It's all passive. So you're only going to get like temperature data. You can't reach out to the device and lock a lock or anything. I mean, eventually we want to do that.
Yeah. Right.
My current solution is my locks are pretty far away from my main Home Assistant install. I have another Blue, which is what I just used for the demo. I have it sitting pretty close to my front door, and I have the lock set up that way. And then I used the HomeKit integration to export the lock, and then I used the HomeKit controller integration on my primary instance to get the lock into my primary instance. So you can use that's all built in. So you can basically just use the HomeKit protocol to make all your Bluetooth devices on your second Home Assistant install remotely accessible in your primary install.
Yeah. Many people have their second Home Assistant install on the other side of their house. Nick is an insane person who tests everything about Home Assistant, and it's wonderful. Every time there's a new integration, you can guarantee that thing works, right? Nick does so much
extensive testing.
Yeah,
extensive. I really
testing I spend more time testing than I do actually developing. So that's kind of part of the process. So
can you imagine if every developer did that at Home Assistant, even us? I mean, that would be nice. The amount of devices Nick has is also insane.
Like you can see in the Bluetooth devices right now popping up in the screen, right? It is tested, that's for sure.
Yeah, actually, you can see behind me. All the bins there are all the Bluetooth devices I bought for testing, just to make sure everything worked right. So.
Wow, the dedication is amazing there, Nick. Thank you.
It's awesome.
So I see tons of questions about like, is my device supported? Will it discover my headphone? Will audio work? There are many, many questions regarding device support. At this point, like audio isn't there. This is not about like streaming audio. Home Assistant itself doesn't really handle audio in general. So that's, well, we have like, we can send out audio files, but we're not a media player by itself.
No, but we can. I think cannot Pulse Audio connect over Bluetooth to?
Yes, it could, but that's not part of this integration, right?
No, of course. But like,
Nope.
so this integration does not do Bluetooth audio,
Right.
but
Exactly.
Home Assistant OS can do that.
Could do.
Can we do it from? We have no UI for it.
We have no UI for it. No, there's CLI commands for it to do it, like to pair it, but there's no.
Who works on the front end?
I don't know.
For a while, I think. Huh?
Yeah, that's one of the things we should do one day. But for all other devices, like, is my device supported? It's the same for every other device in Home Assistant. Is there an integration for it? Check out the integrations page. See if your device is listed or the brand is listed, and check the page out.
Yes. This guy right away.
What?
Got even support for the motion sensors too. So.
Ah, cool.
Yeah,
oh, well, that works too, right? It's push, so that works with motion sensing.
I mean, to answer your question, to answer those questions is, does it show up? If no, then probably not, right? Like they're all discovery. So like if it doesn't show up, probably not. Yeah.
Otherwise, just check out the integration documentation pages. It's the same answer for any other device you're integrating with Home Assistant. So except that you have to set up Bluetooth first. In case you're running a Raspberry Pi 3 or 4, as Paul has mentioned before, using one of the Bluetooth sticks, when you install Home Assistant for the very first time, it will automatically set up Bluetooth for you. But if you have an existing installation or upgrading to this version with the Bluetooth integration, it will be discovered. So you have to manually confirm it from the integrations page to set it up, like Nick did. And after that, it will start discovering all the Bluetooth equipment in your home right away. So, yeah.
Bluetooth is awesome.
Bluetooth. No.
I mean, honestly, this has changed my entire opinion on Bluetooth to very, very negative to in the middle, right?
Yeah,
right.
That's probably better described.
Yeah, it's still not. I still wouldn't put it above Zigbee or Z-Wave or anything, but it's in the middle, right? Before I was like, Bluetooth kind of sucks. I can't connect to anything. The range is terrible. There's no discovery. This brings it up. I mean, this definitely brings it up to a level where I would use a device now that was Bluetooth. Before I wouldn't even consider it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely felt the same way, and I was so annoyed at how long it took to stand in front of my lock and unlock my lock. And the irony now is I can open my Home Assistant on my phone and hit unlock, and it will unlock faster than the native HomeKit integration with my August lock. So since I have that link to the HomeKit and exported, I can ask Siri to open my lock, and it actually works. Whereas using the native one that is built into the lock, it sometimes it says some of your devices are not responding. Whereas my kind of hacked together integration works way better than the production version. So my confidence in Bluetooth is definitely rising. So. Yeah.
Yeah, and then additionally on top of it, on all the devices that are supported or not, like listen documentation, if it supports HomeKit, like a Bluetooth device with HomeKit, it will show up as the HomeKit controller, right? And then it will still be usable regardless if there is an integration for it or not, right?
Yeah.
In most cases, not all, I guess. Like there are some exceptions, probably.
Nice thing about the HomeKit controller integration is that, I mean, I always use Ecobee as an example. Ecobee only has a cloud API, and they also have a local HomeKit API. So if you want to talk locally to your thermostat, to your Ecobee thermostat, then it's the way to go is HomeKit controller.
Right.
And I think in the future, Matter will be similar, right? I think a lot of devices will start supporting Matter, and we will just talk Matter to a lot of these devices.
Yeah, I saw some people messaging about like a HomeKit, like that's Apple, and I don't want in their ecosystem, but that's all like not in here, right? At that point, right? This is just local network.
It's
You
just a
don't need an
protocol,
Apple
right? It's,
product, right?
yeah.
Like it's just an Apple protocol, just like ZeroConf in a way, right? Like the way you
Right.
discover things on your network was, I think, also originally pioneered by Apple, and now
Yes.
everybody uses it.
Yeah. And
So-
wasn't Thread built on?
No, Thread was Google. That was Nest.
Right, but the Thread was Google, right? It's the same thing as Apple. I mean, the thing is like it's just a protocol that ended up being built by someone like
Right.
Apple or Google, but then is being used by everyone in a way that has nothing to do with those companies.
Right. So if you can use HomeKit in general, it is probably, if that is like the only option for a device, it might not even be the worst option either. Like in case of Ecobee, it's even a better option and probably the native integration that goes cloud-based, but doesn't have presets in that case. So there's just a bit of a difference depending on like the feature you need, but you can definitely try it out. I don't think it is not something to be scared of.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I mean, it's a great way to look to see if it's going to work with Home Assistant, right? Does it have HomeKit support? Then probably, right? That's something that I look for and saying, oh, this can probably work with Home Assistant.
Yeah, and I think we got the identify button working too. Maybe that flashed. So can't see it because I'm pointing it at the camera. So I don't know.
I can see it.
Cool.
I don't know. What are we
Well-
looking for? No, wait. I was trying to get Nick bigger.
That was
You know.
Okay, so maybe I can hit this and oh, where's the button? Where's the button? Okay, there we go. It's hard to do with like 4 different tabs open. So I don't know. I can't see if it
I don't
actually
see it.
flashed or not.
Maybe
I don't see it flashing anything.
No, I don't think it's flashing.
Yeah, I probably have so many Bluetooth devices sitting on the desk right now that my interference level is so high.
Or maybe you're identifying the wrong one.
I don't know. Maybe we haven't actually got that working yet. So,
Bug found live on stream.
yeah.
Something had to go wrong, right?
Yeah,
Well-
right. Well, went pretty well.
Yeah. It does.
Oh no, there it's going. It's finally identifying. It's just slow.
It's blinking.
Yeah. Well, this one, kind of the ones that are powered by the little tiny lithium-ion batteries tend to be really slow at responding. So, but they're mostly just pushing temperature data, so it doesn't really matter.
Well, the thing is, as soon as that's a general problem, though. I myself do it too. If you start using Home Assistant or adding stuff in Home Assistant or trying things out, then you expect things to immediately respond. While in real life, it often doesn't matter, right? Like the temperature updates, if that is like once every 5 or 10 minutes, that's fine. But if you're waiting for it, like blowing in and see if it works, then those 5 or 10 minutes suddenly become very long,
Yeah.
right?
But like this uses, I mean, this guy here uses advertisements, so they're instant. Whereas when it's a HomeKit device, if you want to control it, it's actually got to go make a connection. Whereas it's never actually connecting to this motion sensor. It's just going to get an advertisement, and as soon as it detects motion or doesn't detect motion, it'll send a new advertisement. So super fast. So.
And super fast is the only speed we accept.
Well, at least Nick accepts.
Yeah, and honestly, the performance, we've gone through a lot of changes in the last like 3 weeks to the performance that when we rolled out the initial test version, it was really, really, really bad. So we've gone through kind of almost 2 orders of magnitude improvement in performance. And hopefully next month, there's some changes to the underlying dbus library that will, it's about 3 times faster now as far as getting the advertisements from dbus into the instance. So hopefully that'll get all merged and be a next month release.
Plus, probably a slew of new integrations as well. That's what I would predict with all of this kind of coming out and being announced.
So there's a question about, can you see all the Bluetooth advertisements? So yes, I'm going to try to do this and see if this works. So I can go change the debug level. If I can spell Home Assistant. To debug and hit that and go into my terminal, and it should be streaming down the screen every Bluetooth announcement and advertisement that you possibly want to see. So, and this one's not so bad because it's the instance that's sitting closer to my neighbor's house. It's just like this page will just stream on for like it's just crazy. So, and that's the one where it really the performance matters because you're seeing so many announcements. So, but in this case, the load it really doesn't have much impact on the load. There's not that many coming in, but you can see every device, all the raw advertisements coming in that way by turning on the bug. So.
It's actually a good point. By the way, the performance-wise, like if you're running Home Assistant OS, make sure you upgrade to the latest, right? 8.4, I believe. That would be better performance-wise.
So there was a bug and it was in one of the, I think it's in the BlueZ itself, where it would log every time a packet would come in, it would log something about not being able to do, I can't remember what it was, do something. So, and that it wasn't actually that BlueZ itself was eating up your CPU time. It was all the logging that it was generating was it was just pages and pages, and the screen would just scroll like crazy and all that stuff was being saved to the system log, which was just killed the system performance. So.
I think actually that was the audio plugin that had the.
Well, that was another logging instance. That was we had the audio plugin and we had the actually BlueZ itself logging something in the log, which the 8.4 fixed BlueZ, and then the audio plugin, I think Mike fixed that as well.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. This is really awesome, by the way.
So yeah, if you have Bluetooth devices, start using them. If they don't support them yet, maybe some developer will add them. Yeah, and what Terry says. Thank you, Nick, for all your hard work on Bluetooth.
Yeah, and thanks.
I hope you guys enjoy. So.
Thanks to Ernst and G2CK, GC2K too, like working on like the original.
Yeah, I didn't build the HomeKit controller stuff. He did all that work. I just kind of got it over the finish line. So.
That's super cool. So that's great teamwork there too. Super nice. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Cool. So repairs, Bluetooth.
Bluetooth is, I mean, we spend a lot of time on Bluetooth because it is huge. It is a big change, and we'll continue to kind of to have changes as we go on. It's not just something that this release and then now it's kind of done. It's something you'll see new integrations now go on forever. So it's a big change.
Yeah.
But we can move on to the next one here, which is
which screen, Frank or Zach?
I don't know if we need to necessarily share the screen yet, but
I have a demo open if you want to, and we can talk about it.
Yeah, go for it. So it's called supported brands. What that means is really that we are now going to show more devices and brands in the integration list so that you don't have to know what integration your device uses. You can just look up the brand of the device that you're using and see it inside of Home Assistant. For example, here, Frank's going to pull up a device that he has, a brand that he has or may not have just for testing purposes. Which one are you going to pull up? 3D blinds or?
So the thing is, there's a brand here in the Netherlands. I think it's European thing. It's Luxaflex. And if you have a Luxaflex and you're from this region, you're like, oh yeah, I know that one. It's pretty big, pretty famous. But in America, I believe it's completely unknown. I believe it goes by Hunter Douglas.
Yeah, that's
something.
Yeah.
Right. So this is a typically example of a brand, which is, by the way, a Dutch brand. So it's kind of weird, but it's a brand from here, which is Luxaflex, but its main mother company, it's called Hunter Douglas. And in America, it's sold as Hunter Douglas, but here it's sold as Luxaflex. So if you would go into Home Assistant, you bought one of those Luxaflex things, like I would buy one, and I could go in Home Assistant and go for Luxaflex, it would not find anything. And how would I know that it is the same thing as Hunter Douglas, for which we actually have an integration? So this is the problem we're trying to solve right now, because as of this release, I can search for Luxaflex.
Yep.
Bum bum.
It'll actually tell you that we don't actually have an integration just called Luxaflex, but it's using one of our integrations that we do have, right? So the goal here is not that we create an integration and we create a new way to connect to these new brands or brands that are renamed. It's that we know that these brands use integrations that we've already been utilizing, we've already supported for a very long time, right? So in the case of, I have this device sitting on my desk and I want to be able to add it into Home Assistant, you can search for that device. You can search for that brand a lot easier. Less documentation reading, less figuring out stuff on the forums. New users especially will have a lot easier time getting into Home Assistant, searching the devices that they already own.
Yeah. And it's really like, once you add it, it will be available under the new name, right? So you're not going to have Marantz integration. You're going to have, for example, in this example that Frank has shown, a Denon integration added to your list.
Yeah, so if I click OK now, it will actually go set up the Denon AVR integration. So it really helps you just finding the integration instead of like searching Google and going into the forums and finding people like, I have this device, can I use it and how?
Yeah.
That's basically what we're trying to solve, being able to find that stuff.
Yep. So one of the main goals for this is also for products that utilize Zigbee and Z-Wave as well. There are a ton of these different products, so we may not add every single brand ever, but for bigger brands, for example, Leviton has Z-Wave products, right? And if I have a product that is Z-Wave and it's a Leviton, I would have to know, I need to click on the Z-Wave button. This way I can go ahead and search my Leviton device that I have and click on Leviton Z-Wave. That will then load up the Z-Wave integration just as you normally would. But speaking of Z-Wave, if you heard of the Works with Home Assistant program, they are our first partner, which is really cool. And we've been working with their Z-Wave products back and forth. We've got test products. And
you're going way too fast. What is with Home Assistant program?
Yeah. So we can go through it. Well, it's more or less to kind of showcase the supported brands. But Works with Home Assistant is completely separate from supported brands. You do not have to be a Works with Home Assistant partner in order to do this. But what Works with Home Assistant is a way for us to work with manufacturers directly instead of working with random APIs that they may or may not have and they may or may not break in the future. Our goal is to work directly with them and work with their products, test their products, and make sure they work with Home Assistant. Now, this comes with a slew of different types of working with Home Assistant products. That is working locally, working via Zigbee, Z-Wave, Matter, Bluetooth, and also the cloud.
Badge, or is it over?
Oh yeah, there we go. You can see all of the different badges here, and our goal with this partner program is to have the manufacturers start listing this in their documentation, as well as just for them to be a lot easier to find in the Home Assistant website, right? One of the things that we see a lot in Reddit forums, whatever, is what light switch should I buy, or what, plug should I buy? And we want to complete a list of multiple different brands of plugs, multiple different brands of light switches that you can choose from that work with Home Assistant, right?
And I think that it's good to note here that this is not a badge that we apply to manufacturers. Manufacturers have to come to us and we talk and discuss with them, and they will actually commit. Like they will send us test devices that we are testing locally. If it's a Z-Wave device, like Dominique will get it to test with COTS. But we also get a dedicated engineering contact that we can reach out to if we see bugs. And we get, API stability. So the idea is, of course, that as a user, if you have a device that has a works with Home Assistant badge, you can be pretty certain that it will keep working with Home Assistant, that the API will not be removed or, I don't know, secured or in a way that is no longer compatible with Home Assistant. So it is not that these devices will work better, as in we're going to try to work, every device is going to work as good as possible with Home Assistant, right? Like we're trying that very hard. But at least with this badge says is that the manufacturer is in on this, right? The manufacturer is going to make sure that it keeps working. And so, for example, for Leviton, one of the things we're working on is firmware updates, so that through the new automatic firmware update infrastructure that is being built, your Leviton devices will also be provided with firmware updates. But again, this is also not something that we're going to lock down to partners. So there will also be other brands soon that will also offer firmware updates.
Yep, exactly. Our goal is to kind of help facilitate this, right? To help facilitate the Works With program, and continue pushing brands. The more and more brands we have under the Works With partnership, the more kind of footing we have in the smart home industry, right? The more people see, oh, Leviton, which is a huge company. Oh, there's also these other companies that work with Home Assistant. There's more and more. There's hundreds of companies. Okay, well, Home Assistant isn't just a tinkerer's platform or just a random smart home platform that someone created. No, it's a big player in the market. We need to work with Home Assistant, and what that means is we encourage local control. Every time we talk to a company, we ask, the first question is, well, what's your local control look like? Is that on the radar? What is, how can we connect to it that's not the cloud, right? What are your efforts in that regard? So it's always our goal to make it work the best way with Home Assistant. Sometimes we're going to run into instances where stuff does work via the cloud with Home Assistant, and that's okay, right? We have account leaking that's required for those. We have ways to make that the best integration possible. Sometimes it just happens.
But we will call it out on the badge, right? So
yes,
you work through the cloud, you will, you want to carry the Works with Home Assistant badge, you will have to carry the Works via the cloud with Home Assistant.
Yep, exactly. And that's kind of the reason we started adding, we added that identifier on here, is that we want to make sure that you can trust that it's going to work in a way that you want it to work, right? Just let's say it had Works with Home Assistant, you buy that product and then realize it's a cloud product, and that's not really what you wanted. Now you're kind of upset, right? So we want to make sure we're educating you before you buy the product.
Yes.
Perfect. Supported brands and the Works with Home Assistant, they're in the same realm, but they are different. Supported brands will cover a lot more than just our partnership program, and we'll continue to add more and more brands to this. This is, if you're a dev or you have something that you want to add in there, it's very easy to add to just the JSON file, which is just a regular type of file. No coding, no nothing needed. And it will also come with a brand logo, as you're seeing here. It's all set up like a normal integration, so it's very nice. It looks nice, kind of goes along with the UI of the platform.
Yeah, so it shows up not just in the Home Assistant UI, but also in the documentation at that point. So the Alexa Flex we discussed earlier is also showing up in the documentation, and the documentation will explain to you that this is provided again by Hunter Douglas, and that's how you need to set it up. And the Yet integration button will actually work.
Yep. Which
So-
this is all automatically generated, right? Or Frank? Yeah. So
Yes.
this which is really nice, right? Being able to just add one line of code or one line of text to a file in order to generate all this type of features in the platform as well as the documentation.
Yeah, those pages will look pretty much the same because they have one goal, right? It's just pointing you to the right direction where to find the integration. I was looking for Marans. I have to type it right. So Marans is here. And you will see it's almost basically the same text. It's like the same basic page telling you like, hey, this device is supported by this one. Go there. You find the information there.
I think this is really great. This is one of the things that whenever I first started with Home Assistant was like, oh, I have this device, but I can't find it, right? This is hopefully going to start helping that more and more as we add more and more brands, which is really cool.
Yeah, I believe like 15 or 20 have been added this release, which is already pretty decent for the first start. Right.
Moving on.
Back to your screen.
Sure. Yeah. So we can go over the next one, which is the map colors, which have been needing of improvement for quite a while, but it's something that one of the Kitabo or something like that brought up in an issue on GitHub, and it was like, hey, I can't really see my map very well. The contrast on this is not great. We looked at it and we're like, wow, you're not wrong. And between Matthias and Bram, they put it together and built this new type of map coloring, right? It's really the light mode is just pulling down from a new version of the elements from the map that we're using called Leaflet. And we are just taking that white, the light mode and changing it a little bit to go on the dark mode. But with all of this, it's a lot easier to see the difference between roads and rivers and buildings and everything. And it's not just all kind of grayed out, masked away. Now you can actually see what you're looking at, see what buildings you're in, and see the difference between everything around you.
Yeah, especially in dark mode, it was previously like one just black hole with like a home in the middle. Now at least there's a bit of contrast. You can see the streets and the things happening there. So
yeah, and it's crazy because you can even see now like the difference between like the parking lots and the buildings and like everything around it. It's nice. And I think one of the best ones was like we were looking is like, is that a river or is that a street? I can't tell. So this is much nicer. All right, so that's pretty quick change that Bram was able to make, but a whole lot of difference, and that's kind of the goals. Some other noteworthy changes: we changed Z-Wave JS to now just say Z-Wave. You will probably what we found is we probably won't notice it. You'll probably see it as Z-Wave JS if you already had it. Because the integration itself was set up to have a name of Z-Wave JS, which we didn't change. It's kind of like the friendly name of this integration. So if that's what you had set, then it won't change. But the integration itself is now called Z-Wave. Everything in the backend still Z-Wave JS.
Yeah. It's just like if you go in Home Assistant and you want to add a Z-Wave device, then you go to Z-Wave. Because, well, it's a Z-Wave device. It's just like more down to earth and simple in the UI, just Z-Wave.
Yeah, I mean, it also, it's one of those things, like a new user comes in, right? And they see, I have a Z-Wave device, but this says Z-Wave JS. I don't have a Z-Wave JS device, right? Well, it causes some confusion. They have to go to the document. This is just easier. We already talked about the system health one. Anything else we want to call out here? Oh, this one's cool, actually. I would like to,
can I show it?
We have some, yeah, I would like to see that one.
Can you switch to my screen? Oh, you're on my screen. I'm just on a different box. Hold on. There we go. So this is more a little bit in the developer tools, a bit more technical. But if you like to develop with events and such, and you want to figure out what events does, and if you ever been here before, you would have known it shows all kinds of JSON blurb. Right now, it doesn't, but this instance is probably the worst example I could have put out. Let me.
Everything hanging.
Oh, this is my yellow on my desk, which is
You've got the quietest instance I've ever seen. So.
it's just for playing around with on my desk, but this one probably works better. Here we go. So this is now showing, instead of JSON, it shows YAML, which means you can now copy paste it into like your automations. If you're building automations by hand and using that YAML stuff, it has color coding now, so you syntax highlighting, so it's better visible and seeing what you're looking at. It's a little small touch, a small detail, but it was the last piece of JSON I could find basically in the front end. I'm not aware of any other leftovers yet from that era, but yeah, this is now YAML.
Well, as someone who uses that screen for debugging all the time, it is a very welcome change. So
yeah,
we should. I mean, there could be so many more improvements to this page. I feel
yeah,
like
definitely.
I feel like it has been like the thing on the right. That's like the original UI for this page.
Yeah.
That was like Home Assistant before we had version numbers.
Also, these used to be back in the day. I believe this is one of the first things you did, Nick, is changing those listeners. Like it used to have like huge numbers here, and I believe these are not like.
Yeah, they're significantly, better indexed, so that when they're firing, they're only hitting the entities that actually need to get the updates. So way less events happening in the background.
So that's it. That's that little feature. It's just a bit of UI work.
Yeah. Material design icons were updated, which is kind of nice. They brought 100 new icons. And there were some that were removed, so make sure you check that out.
There's a list of the breaking changes for it. I like the one just a little bit higher, just above the material design ones. It's for Unifi. If you're using the Unifi integration, it will now show update entities. So updates for your Unifi devices will actually pop up in Home Assistant. So you can, with a single click, upgrade your firmware for your access points, for example. I think that's a really cool touch. This is exactly why we built the whole update stuff. So other devices could provide like updates too. And Unifi is one of those that has been added to this release, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, I just love that Home Assistant is more than just like an automation platform or just a smart home, like only control my lights type of thing. It's energy management, device management. It's so much. It's a whole ecosystem.
Central point in your home, right?
Yeah, it's
central.
Great. The fact that I do not have to open up the Unifi app anymore is great. Like, I mean, like it's so good.
I think the biggest thing here is that letting people know. Like people, they don't mind updating their Unifi devices, but who opens the Unifi app? Like unless you're trying to find the IP address or something maybe. So yeah, this is great to just do it.
It's also just a single click, right? And then it just happens from the interface you're already at, and update the other stuff too with a single click. So that's kind of nice.
Like Z-Wave devices soon. Which is going to be
soon.
That's soon.
The question was just asked a couple of minutes ago, then, by the way.
Yeah.
That's good. We'll do that for our birthday release next month.
That'll be nice.
Yeah.
Oh, life hacks. That's something Nick worked on, like previous release actually, but didn't make it.
Oh yeah, that one kind of got in like right over the hump. So that one, that integration was. Maybe your lights showed up when you restarted. Probably not. So we changed it to work how all the other modern light integrations work. So it remembers the IP address between restarts and tries to connect to the IP right away. And if not, then it falls back to discovery, which most of the time, the IP address hasn't changed. So your light just comes right up, as opposed to, oh, you've got six of these lights and 2 of them show up when you restart. So it's now using the config entry per device model, which allows us to use all the built-in retry and discovery stuff, and just way more reliable experience. Like as soon as the light comes on, it finds it right away. And it's also now I think it adds DHCP support too, so it can find it that way as well. So lots of ways to find the device should the IP address change. So it'll always keep working. And one thing we just kind of moving on a little bit that forgot to mention is I spent some time improving the first connection speed. So when you if you have an empty cache and you connect to Home Assistant, it should load a lot faster. I had a use case where my connection was really slow, and I kept having to clear the cache on my app, and it would take maybe about 14 seconds before I could actually get to do something in Home Assistant. So now if I have a clear cache, I think it's about 2 or 3 seconds before the whole instance loads, which is a nice improvement. Also, if you have a lot of people who are connecting to your Home Assistant instance, it'll go a lot faster, kind of getting you right into the integration screen, so you can control things without having to wait for the cache to build too quickly.
If it takes more than 3 seconds,
yeah, it's gonna drive me crazy. I have no patience for that, for things that I don't like to be waiting on computers to do things. They should be waiting on for me. So.
Oh, that's great. Oh. Anything else we want to bring up here? You can see your network IP details in the network settings screen, in the network setting menu. If you go to, which one is it? It's the one that shows your IPv4 and IPv6 or Ethernet or Wi-Fi, whatever you have. You can now click the little overflow menu and see your IP details.
I see a fix coming by that I haven't mentioned anywhere, but there is somebody is doing a shout out to me. That's why it pops up on my screen. There was a bug from 2019 ish that actually could cause, if you're using IP bands and you have configured that stuff, cameras could cause to trigger it. And we've built a change in this release that prevents that. So somebody's thanking me for that. I got a couple of messages before. You're welcome. So hopefully that is now a better experience. It's not really a listed change, but still maybe no 30-bit.
Oh yeah, and if you are using IP bands, they should also be a lot faster in this release too.
Yes,
because it used to do a linear search to find if the IP was banned or not, and now it's a dictionary lookup, so way faster.
Instant lookup, right? Lots of new integrations, a lot of Bluetooth stuff, which we've already seen. Raspi something, Paulus?
Yeah, I was going to share my screen just of the docs, actually. I don't know if this is... where's my screen? I'm just gonna zoom in a little. Wow, this is better. Okay, so this is the Raspi docs in Home Assistant. So if people are not familiar with Raspi, it is a locally run voice assistant, and basically it's a collection of a voice assistant is many different tools. Like you need like 10 different, you need hot word detection, you need speech to text, then the text needs to be parsed for intent, then the intent needs to be executed somewhere, response needs to be generated, that response needs to be going text to speech, and the speech needs to be played. Like you need the whole stack, and basically you need a PhD to kind of figure it all out. Luckily, Mike, the author of Raspi, has a PhD, and he has figured this all out. And what he has done is actually he made a framework in which you can, at every layer, plug in a tool to use it, but it's easy to swap out other tools. So you can try out different open source stacks, different languages. He has a lot of different support for languages. Now, the problem with his system is because it works with everything, you need to configure everything because you need to choose your preferred one. So I've been working with Mike, well, not in the last month, but a bit before that, and this is kind of the result of that, in trying to make Raspberry more accessible. This is because basically what we want is for you to be able to plug in a microphone into Home Assistant, or maybe in the future have someone one in your house, and being able to talk to it and just control your house while keeping everything local, because that's what we like. Now, to do that, we actually made I made a Raspberry integration that just really just sets up Home Assistant with the right control, so it sets up the intent integration. But what Mike did is that he created a new Raspberry version called Raspberry Junior, and it will actually be able to install in Home Assistant operating system as an add-on. So when you install this add-on, I cannot give you a demo because, well, my Home Assistant Blue is in this bubble wrap. I haven't unpacked it yet. You install this add-on, the junior version, this is the top button in the documentation. It will automatically set up and configure Raspberry in a way that you can actually start talking to your Home Assistant instance. Now, there's still some room for improvement, and it's only in English now. The language is not configurable yet. I'm working with Mike on doing that. Actually, he had a very smart idea to support multiple languages instead of like trying to like Google, they do very smart and they will see how you're talking to see if you're speaking like different supported languages. Mike's idea was way easier. He's like, we're just going to have different hot words, right? So you might be saying like, I think the current junior is like, hey, Mycroft. Maybe you can say, hola, Mycroft, if you want to speak Spanish or something like this. So there's some stuff coming, but right now you can already start talking to Home Assistant. You install this add-on, you configure your microphone. There's no feedback yet, so it doesn't tell you if it did something, but you can already start seeing the light. So this is really just, at this point in time, I would say, just to try it out.
Experimental.
Yeah, it's experimental. It's definitely to try it out, but as we can see more adoption, it will also help Mike, be more enthusiastic and spend time on improving this version.
Yeah.
So.
It's kind of another step forward, if you will, baby step for now, but in a local voice control, right? I mean, it is local voice control, but it's it's another step to a good local voice control.
And it's interesting because a lot of the voice control, if you look at Genie, the stuff Stanford is doing, they're all using like neural networks and super advanced, and it supports every single piece of text you can ever throw at it. And the way Mike approaches it, he's like, well, you don't need that stuff. Like if you really just want to have, basically how many advanced commands do you want to do? If you just want to control IoT stuff in your room, you want to say, turn on the lights, set the lights to a brightness, turn off the lights, these kind of things. You don't have to be able to ask for, give me the weather in Amsterdam or something, right? Like it's a cool feature, but you don't really use that. So you can actually reduce the scope a lot. And that means it's easier to run locally in your house.
Yeah. So. It's cool.
So yeah, if you have a microphone, try it out with Home Assistant OS. Bluetooth microphones can just be selected in the add-on configuration. It's super easy to try it out. So definitely give it a swirl. And then if you like it, make sure you let Mike know through the Raspberry community stuff.
Yep. Cool. Well, that's kind of the release notes. Anything else anyone, or on the release notes, anything else anyone has?
I want to see the breaking changes.
Okay.
For one reason.
Oh yeah.
Are you still sharing?
I don't have it. I'm not sharing yet, but I can reshare 1 second.
Yeah, I can do two. By the way, I just haven't been.
So many freaking clicks.
You guys figure it out. I think somebody was asking, like, will it work with Home Assistant Supervisor? Raspberry works with anything, really. It's just that if you want to have everything set up and working out of the box, if you install the add-on, that just works for you. Otherwise, you just have to install it as an application and configure Home Assistant credentials, etc.
So
yeah,
the reason why I want to talk about this is because, well, it fits in one screen.
even zoomed
Look at
in
that,
all the way.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's so few here.
Yeah.
So what is the magic?
The magic is Home Assistant repairs here, because we previously listed like every single, excuse the language, fart, because it's mainly we showed deprecations, which are not breaking changes. We showed little stuff that is really rare maybe for somebody, or very specific for an instant that is not really breaking, and we can mitigate that and help you and guide you. So we can now better target like actual really breaking changes versus like warnings or deprecations or things to look into which are not really breaking, and moving those into like your instance into the repairs. So that results in a smaller consumable, less stressful uh, list of breaking changes, which I think is really cool.
And in the future, even less and less as more integrations add in the repairs, right? It's going to be less and less.
Like the material design icons one, that would be a really good candidate to raise issues for. Like, you're using an icon that's going away. You're using an icon that has been renamed. So do you want to rename it now? Those kind of issues we should raise in the repairs in the future, but we can't at this point, or don't at this point yet for all of it. But yeah, I think this is really great to see. Like, it's one of the biggest comments. Like, look at the list of breaking changes, and often it's not even that big. And right now we can just keep it small, simple, and actually breaking, which I'm really happy about.
Yep.
I mean, 10, huh? That's pretty nice.
Yeah, it is definitely, and they're small too.
And then the last but not least, just these, right?
Yeah, XB, which was an old Zigbee one, a kind of integration. SoChain was a blockchain thing, and Google Music, Play Music, that was already struggling, but I don't think it ever worked. But these three weren't working. They have been disabled for quite some time already, and it was just time to remove them. Like, nobody complained. It didn't even work. So, yeah, but still, we list that we're removing them. Yep.
Cool. Awesome. Well, that's pretty nice. I love not seeing breaking changes.
Well, you get repairs as a bonus now, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
What I really like is that we used to share a lot of breaking changes, but like Frank said, they were small things. They were not really breaking, but we wanted to be careful. We just wanted to make sure, hey, we told you so. But then the way people started interpreting, because people were not reading the breaking changes because there were so many breaking changes. And then people were just like, oh, there's so many breaking changes, I don't want to update Home Assistant. Well, actually, we were just sharing to make sure you knew everything. But by doing that, I guess shooting ourselves in our own foot,
Yeah.
because people got very scared. So hopefully now, if 10 breaking changes, you can quickly scan it, see if it impacts you, and then do something about it. And I think most of the times it will just be a repair, right? Like, oh, stuff is moving to the UI, or this is being phased out. Like, yeah.
Can someone highlight Dr. Z's message there?
Oh,
to double click. Okay.
Yeah, he said he already got saved. I mean, it's one of those things where he didn't even know, right? He didn't realize that his blinds were using a deprecated or removed YAML configuration. So he already got saved. It's pretty cool. Well, cool. I have a few things whenever we're ready.
I think this one is cool too. Like, it's a question, but it's actually true, right? So repairs are unique for your system, things we find in your system. So the question is, do we report things in the future? Well, yes, that's what Dr. C's filed out just now, right? So yeah, we do.
Yep.
Ideally, like, well, we haven't built it yet, but if Dr. Z's would not address this thing and then he would hit update, we would give him an extra prompt saying, careful. We know these things are going to break. He can find the repairs. Please address them before updating, and then he can click ignore everything. I'm going for it, as he will.
Probably.
Yep.
Zach, sorry, you wanted to say something, mate.
Well, I was just gonna, if we're finished with the kind of the release, I was gonna go over a few more things. One is the newsletter. Newsletter came out, building dot open home or the open home. I can't even remember now. Yeah, there it is. Building.open-home.io, where we host our newsletter, which came out recently, and you can look at the edition. If you aren't signed up already, you can still look at it up online, which is nice. All the previous ones are there as well. You can see Paulus's nice image that he generated via DALL-E, which is I really enjoy this one. This one's cool. The full image was the entire house, but this is kind of the guts of it anyway.
I mean, I've been really enjoying just generating art with like DALL-E and Midjourney for these newsletters.
We couldn't tell, Paulus.
And like these are also all Midjourney based. Oh, this one isn't. Yeah, but that is fun.
Yeah, but this issue kind of goes over. Paulus kind of writes up a big section on investing in the open home, which is a really cool topic for kind of the future of the open home.
Yeah, no, so definitely if you haven't signed up to the newsletter or you just want to read it, go check it out. On the Home Assistant website, there's a link called newsletter or building.openhome.io. It's the newsletter for me is really a place where we can share things that we it doesn't really fit in the release notes. Back in the days we would push everything into the release notes, every little cool thing that we want to highlight, but then people got like, well, I'm sitting here 30 minutes reading release notes and then they wouldn't even read the breaking changes. So yeah, now I think splitting this out would be really nice. I haven't looked at the latest subscriber numbers. I think we're over 10,000 now.
Yeah, over 11,000.
Oh, 11,000. There you go. So I guess some of you are subscribed. So that's cool. I'm glad people like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, tell your friends, go read our cool newsletter.
Yeah, another thing that's in that investing is we hired a new employee at Nabucasa this month, which is, if you got the email, not Nikolai, but actually Nikita. From the I didn't catch it either. It's my bad. I was supposed to catch it. But Nikita from the Zigbee community is now working on Zigbee and ZigPi for Nabucasa, or not for Nabucasa, but with Nabucasa.
And his first feature is almost done that he's wrapping up, and which is backup and restore of Zigbee controllers, which will allow migration between Zigbee controllers as well. Because with Zigbee, the pairings are not stored on the stick, but they're stored in a database. And so migration was always a bit painful.
Yeah, which we're finalizing the UI. I think the core was already merged, actually. So we're finalizing the UI to make it a little easier and make it kind of straightforward to kind of understand what's going on whenever you're doing it. And then his first feature, which he actually wrote both parts. Not only did he do like the core Python part, which is, he also wrote all the JavaScript, the HTML, everything. So it's kind of cool. It's back end and front end. But another cool thing happened this month or last month.
It's shipping.
It's shipping. Let me see if I can focus.
Got it. Oh,
yeah. The Home Assistant Yellow, which Frank still hasn't taken off the.
It's still on here.
But we are now officially shipping 2,000 units to Crowd Supply, which will then ship onto you guys. So if you look into your Crowd Supply account details, you'll actually see your shipping date, or an estimated shipping date at least, which should be you should get it within the next 2-ish weeks based on their estimations. So that's super exciting for us. It's one of the it's like the end of it's not the end, but it's kind of like the first step of being like, wow, we did it. We finally shipped it. It's going out. It's a cool thing. But
there we go again. Like
However,
the plastic.
but
yeah. So
however, all right.
Yeah. But Power over Ethernet, we did do another update on that. We are going to have to push the shipping dates for those until at least October. And I say at least because we are still in the process of finding what we need to change about the PoE version in order to get the EMI emissions down. Now, what that means is that we were a little bit high, barely high, whenever we did the most recent edition of it. And that's what we thought we were going to be able to ship. And we didn't know it was going to be a little bit high. We thought we were under. So, but when it came back, we talked to the engineers of the actual PoE chip. We talked to multiple different avenues of what we can do in order to fix this issue. And the update on Crowd Supply kind of goes over what Stefan went through in order to kind of go through this. They went to multiple testing houses. They've talked to and changed multiple PCB boards and all of this stuff to really try and get this to be the best PoE board that we can make it. We're not going to ship anything that's going to be too high on emissions. We're not going to ship anything that's not ready. And so that's why we're waiting until October at the very minimum to ship that out. Yeah. So a lot of work going down in there. It's not just because we don't want to ship the PoE version to you. We want to make sure it's ready.
So, Zach, one question that came in here from Rick Kidsman. Can we flip from PoE to regular?
Yeah, so the answer on that one is yes, you definitely can purchase a regular now. The PoE or the power supply kit, which is the other kit version, is readily available. We're looking at shipping those out again, a new batch of those again pretty soon. But you can't just flip, right? Meaning just because you have a PoE version already in line for that doesn't put you first in line, for the power supply kit. You would go back in the back of the line. Now there are fewer of those, being purchased right now, but because we already sent some out, so those are going out. Those will probably have another batch pretty soon. So if you do want one quicker than October, switching to power supply kit could get there. Now, we're not guaranteeing you that it does get there quicker, but it definitely could.
Yeah. Somebody asking here if we're just shipping USA. No, we're working. Nope. Crowd Supply is part of Mouser, and we're shipping worldwide.
It's first come, first serve, right? So depending on who our first backers were in the time that beginning of the time that we released it, they will get theirs as it comes out. So we did 2,046 devices. 86 cartons of yellows, 3 pallets of yellows. Those go out to first come, first serve.
Yeah.
So if yours still says later than August, still says something like that, you just worked part of that first 2,000s, which is okay. That they're coming, right? Us doing this shipping is a really good step for us to ship out the rest of them. That means everything, packaging wise is done. There's a few surprises inside of the box as well that you'll see, which is nice. All the flyers and stuff. Yeah, I really love the box. Yeah. I am so proud of our box. Like, it looks so good. I don't know why I'm so proud of it, but I just love it. I love it. I love seeing it. It's great. My wife is like, "You're such a nerd. It's just a box."
No, it's a beautiful box.
It's a good box.
It's a good box. I love it.
Normally, I throw boxes out. This one is still at my desk.
Yeah,
but the plastic is also still on it. So I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's what we wanted to do, is make sure like people kept the box. I keep all boxes, but this one's
really?
Not going to keep.
Oh, wow.
I keep, dude. My closet, man, is a little crazy. But we also announced another product that we talked about on a stream for Matter, and I'm pretty sure we talked about it again last month on the release. But we do finally have more samples of those being sent out to the Nabokasa employees right now in order to test them, right? We do pilots
Well,
internally
you
to
gotta,
do that.
what is it? What
So
is it?
Blue.
the Sky Connect, sorry, let me,
You gotta cover your face so it won't like. Oh yeah.
there we go. So the Sky Connect is a Zigbee thread chip that we put inside of a USB stick. So now that the samples are going out, it's getting there. So this chip is the same chip inside of the Home Assistant Yellow, meaning everything is the same there. Inside of Home Assistant, we're going to be able to see this chip, run Zigbee off of it, and possibly in the future run Matter. That's what we're testing now, is how Matter and Zigbee run together, how the Zigbee network works internally to really to make sure we're giving you the best product ever. And we also ship this out to a few of the Zigbee community members who are developing the Zigbee integration, and if they're working on Matter for us as well. We're working with our community in order to make sure this thing works.
Yeah. So we don't have a shipping date yet. Or
No shipping date yet. Not many details we can provide right now, but over the next few months, I would definitely keep an eye out for that. I would say we would have a pretty good update over the next month or two.
Yeah.
Which we are also getting a sample of that box pretty soon, which should be very nice as well. But that's cool. It's also, just to make sure, it is going to come also with a USB extension cable, so which is going to be a key part that we want to make sure everyone is using.
Why is that? Maybe
because with any device, any Home Assistant, wherever your instance is, having your USB stick, your dongles, your hardware that is sending out a signal away from the actual board, away from your Wi-Fi chip, your whatever is inside of your box, is way better than having it right next to it. Your range is going to be better. The quality of the range is going to be better. It's just overall something that we want to encourage and we want for people to do. And we don't, if you buy the Sky Connect and you're like, oh, I don't have one, I'm just going to stick it into my instance, then we're not encouraging it well enough. We don't want you to have to go out there and have to buy another thing in order to get that. So we're shipping with one inside of it, which will be nice. We made sure really great quality. We actually sent a few back because they weren't good enough. So we are telling you that it's the best one and the best way to do it.
Yeah, I think the same thing applies if you have a Bluetooth stick on your Blue. Make sure you have an extension cable because you don't want to have interference from the USB ports.
Right, which the interference is actually, there's this beautiful white paper by Intel, and it's actually this is from the official USB website, but USB 3.0 and 2.4 gigahertz wireless devices just don't play well together. So there will be interference. So yeah, use extension cables or a small USB hub. I use this boy, which has like 3 USB ports, and then it kind of just dongles behind the wall, so I don't really see it.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't need to have one extension cable to one adapter at a time, right? You can have multiple.
It's kind of weird, like USB 3 and Wi-Fi, you never see them together. It's just like, wow. It's amazing that those just don't work together, and they're more like, it's not just this case of the Sky Connect, right? It's every single radio you put in a USB 3 port. Make sure there's just an extension cord on it. Yep.
Yeah, cool. So I mean, that's my update. We went over works with, we went over newsletter, we went over hardware. Anything else I'm missing?
No, I have nothing new either. Just moved everything.
Well, Paulus has a lot new, but nothing.
I do have something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you got to like and subscribe.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. make sure to subscribe for the eventual content that we eventually put out that I need to do. But make sure to hit that like button. You got to smash that like button, not just
Smash
not
it.
just click it. Smash it.
Smash it. Yeah.
And subscribe. And comment down below if you have.
Don't smash too hard because you need to still be able to subscribe after that. But
Yeah, that's true.
all right.
Awesome.
Anything else you guys have going on?
I have a question for Paulus. What is the first smart product that you're going to set up on the Home Assistant?
Oh, in your new home.
My new place. Well, there's this like I have like individual AC units in every room, like for the cooling and
Okay.
heating, and it's freaking warm and humid right now in New York. So I wanna be able to control those from my from Home Assistant. So it's some Mitsubishi stuff. So I don't know if it's possible. I haven't searched it yet. I've been too busy unpacking. But yeah, that's gonna be the first thing. And then I think the second thing is that I'm not working from home. I'm working from like an office space that is like in the same building, but it's not. So I need to set up some communication between like, so that I can easily like call back into home.
Yeah, like
I
an
don't
intercom system.
have a portal, so I can like call.
Oh
into
yeah,
the portal. But,
that's true. You should get like a TV up on your wall that has a portal as well, and then you can portal back and forth into your. That would be sick.
Well, I don't want them to have like constantly looking over my shoulder, right?
No,
But,
no. I'm saying just so like whenever you want,
I was thinking like I could set up like a Nest doorbell. I just hang it inside my house upstairs. So when they press the button, I get a video call on my phone and I can talk to them.
Yeah, that's true. If you don't want to use Nest, there's some other doorbells coming out.
I still have this phone. This is like the first single piece
Beautiful.
phone that ever was made. It's from the 60s or something. It has like the dial here. So when you put it on the table, it would hang up and then you can like call. Anyway, I had this as a prop on my desk in State of the Union 2020, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, I was thinking also to just make it like just have a phone system, right? Like you don't need a doorbell. You can just have like the phone pick up and it calls the other phone. So, yeah, technology.
Did you have your lights smart at your previous apartment?
I had some lights. I mean, I have like a few Zigbee lights in my. I have the Sonos speaker lamp from IKEA, their collaboration. So I have a lamp in that. But I mean, I use a lot of the lights now are like built-in fixtures and stuff I can't really change. So, well, I'm not supposed to change, so I haven't looked into it yet. But it's been. I've only been here like 2 days now. So
come on, what are you doing?
It's not even set up yet. Wow.
Yeah. It's okay. I've been in 6 months, and my wife complains
Still
that things aren't.
Yeah, it's over. Like I know from like my moving experience that like you have like 2 weekends, and if you haven't really unpacked it by then or done by then, it's like you're not gonna.
I know it's so
life.
So much. It's just so much to get the motivation to go in there and be like, oh, I need to replace these 3 light switches and set up all this stuff. And I'm like, I could do it later, but eventually I'll get it done or hire someone else. I don't know. I have so many lights. I could just be like, all right, well, here's 25 I need done.
Yeah.
Frank, you got anything cool going on?
It's pretty darn quiet on my end, actually, to be honest. I don't have anything new this month I've been playing with, so.
Nick, what's the next big project that you're going to buy 500 devices for?
So, I don't know. I think I'm probably going to be improving Bluetooth for a while. So we've probably got another 2 releases. And I really want to get back to improving the database size. I mean, there's a couple, I think we can get another 30 or 40% reduction in how we're storing the data, but that's kind of heroic efforts. So
I'm scared for Nick whenever
databasing. So I can't wait till Matter comes out. I'm sure there'll be lots of stuff to play with. So
hell yeah.
Yeah,
we need to pick up the ball a bit again. It's
well, there's been a few vacations and summer vacation stuff going on this summer, so
Well,
Um,
Matter is also in flux, right? So
yeah.
Matter they're doing like their spec validation event 1, and I think they're now going for 2. So it should start to become very feature stable. So our integration is just getting more polished. Like we keep updating it with the latest SDK. I think that November is the release party plan. So we're not going to do a release of Home Assistant with Matter integration like next month or something, just because things could still technically change, and we don't want to are we going to do a breaking change because we want to do stay up to we want to do breaking changes to keep supporting the latest Matter, but if Matter, we also don't want to break old stuff, so we don't really want people start to rely on it until Matter 1.0 is like super close to stability and release, because once Matter 1.0 is out, it should be backwards compatible forever. I mean, that's the promise. We'll see if it actually starts happening.
Yeah. Our goal is to test as many devices as we can.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, I do think Matter is going to ship this year. So
yeah,
Thread just got a 1.3 release, and Thread is like an underlying mesh protocol that Matter uses, which finally allows different vendors Thread to collaborate. So you can have your Apple HomeKit Thread border router can connect with your Google Nest Wi-Fi border router, can connect with your Samsung Fridge border router in the future. So that was basically the last thing that I thought that if they don't fix that, we're screwed. But that's fixed, so I think it's going to happen. I mean, I don't think there's going to be a lot of devices that speak Matter. You want to buy
not immediately.
I don't think there will be more than 5 vendors that have vendor light bulbs or something, Matter light bulbs. But
yeah,
I hope it is going to work. And like, even if it's like released as final, right? Then like the chain of events has to happen. So manufacturers have start to manufacture that stuff and ship that stuff and update stuff, and people need to buy it, and stores need to get it, and chips need to be made, and all those things more. So I think, I don't know. Well, before it becomes showing up, I would guess January, like Christmas after that, maybe.
I mean, the thing is that people are not going to go out and swap out every light bulb in their house, right? Like maybe your next light bulb might be Matter, but maybe you're already in the Hue ecosystem, and Philips Hue has said, we're not going to do Matter light bulbs, just the Matter hub, right? So, there's maybe, I think there might be people just sticking to Zigbee.
Cool. There's
we're working on adding Thread support to a HomeKit controller as well. So hopefully, maybe it's actually already there. It's just not turned on. So
the last leg.
So maybe we'll have that out next month, maybe a month after. But you can actually turn it on now by setting an environmental variable, which I don't remember what it is, but it'll actually mostly work. So, but it still needs a lot of love before it's one-click installs are pretty easily usable.
Right. That would be awesome.
So one last thing that I just thought of, actually somebody reminded me of it, is that Navikasa got a little bit of an upgrade over in August. So you want to talk about that, Paulus?
Right. So in February, we announced that annual subscriptions were going to be rolled out, and we were starting with the United States. Then we rolled it out internationally, but the last few holdouts were UK, Canada, European Union. Am I forgetting one?
I don't know. That's wrong.
Okay, I think those three. But and the reason they were being held back was because we wanted to switch to the local currencies. So that has finally all rolled out now, starting August 1st. So 2 days ago. So if you are subscribed to Home Assistant Cloud, and you should, because then you support the development of Home Assistant and all the other stuff we do, then you can now subscribe annually. And if you subscribe annually, it will be, you get 2 months free. So instead of 12 months, you pay 10 months. And if you are in the UK, you can pay in pounds. If you are in Canada, you can pay in Canadian dollars. And if you're in Europe, you can pay in euros. So All other
Go.
will pay in dollars.
Yeah, it is fully rolled out. There's. Do you want to talk about like the Stripe versus PayPal thing in a little bit?
Oh yeah. So initially we were like, we've had so many issues with PayPal over the years. We're like, they wouldn't tell us if they had charged the money to the users, or they would like tell us too late, or they would tell us twice. And basically, we wanted to drop PayPal for it, and go only with Stripe, and really like the things that Stripe supports, because they also support a bunch of payment methods. But we realized that, and we only realized it after we had announced that we were going to drop PayPal, that actually the Stripe support does all the things that people need. So we have actually reintroduced PayPal support, but we found a new API that we could use, which means that now you can still use PayPal, but in a better way. So if you are still on the old PayPal plan, then we highly encourage you to either switch to the new PayPal plan or to a new Stripe plan. Eventually,
Highly encourage you, meaning definitely get that done soon.
yeah, eventually the old PayPal plan will be removed, because it is just such a headache, and it basically messes with the administration. And sometimes Pascal has to manually go through things to find flaws in the system, like track like payments down and stuff. So it's not fun. So yeah, definitely. But you can still use PayPal, just you have to reset it up.
Yeah, it should be pretty straightforward. There've been tons of testing, and just kind of want to shout out Bram, Pascal, Ashton, like all working on this thing to make it work perfectly, so that everyone can use the right local tax, the right local currency, the right everything. And now it's finally rolled out. They're all like, whew, finally.
Right. We're 2 minutes over.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of neat, actually. Like, we
Right.
made it.
Yeah.
So,
Cool. Well, shall we wrap it up?
I think so.
Well, I want to once again thank Nick for not only his presence today, but all the cool work on Bluetooth. Frank for the release notes. Zach for all the work on the work with Home Assistant program. Brand website updates. And all the other contributors that are not on the stream right now that have worked tirelessly over the last month on making this all happen.
Yeah, so many people working on anything like every month. It's
I think I think sometimes we should do better in like showing like the world how, like, maybe we should highlight just some, I don't know, contributors you don't always see every day, maybe once a month, maybe in a newsletter or something. In like, just seeing what people are doing, because there's so much happening behind the scenes that you probably don't realize.
yeah.
Anyway, don't forget to like, subscribe this channel, share it with your friends. Don't forget to sign up for the newsletter. Don't forget to sign up for Home Assistant Cloud, support our work, Home Assistant, etc. Share the love, tell your friends, tell
Check out the Home Assistant Creator Network.
That's an old slogan. Share the love.
Share the love.
Still fits, I guess.
And I wish everybody a happy rest of their Wednesday or Thursday if you're in New Zealand or that area stuff.
Have a nice day.
Have a good one.